the caliber of a great nation is how they deal with their seniors.
How about your own personal story? You've written a lot about your mother. She was a great travel partner, and she died recently. Tell me about your story and the caregiving that happened for her.
Well, of course, my mom took me to Europe for my first time, and she introduced all of us to the world in however you want to define that kind of travel. But in her last 5 years, she had Alzheimer's, and my dad was her caregiver, and I saw the challenges of a spouse who is suddenly doesn't have the playmate they had for 50 years, but they've got somebody they love every bit as much, and their whole role has changed. My dad was the classic dad that hardly knew how to make toast, and suddenly he's in charge of all that stuff because my mom wasn't able to. And I saw how heroic and loving my dad supported his wife when she had a very difficult road with Alzheimer's. And I also saw how he would do it 24/7 if he could, but he just needed a little break every once in a while. And I saw how important it was for there to be adult daycare to give a caregiver a break.
What role did your church play in this? You've talked about your faith and your church.
Well, anybody who has a strong faith has an advantage, I think, in knowing the meaning of life from their religious point of view, and they've got a circle of friends that stands by them through thick and thin. I felt when you have a mother or father who's dealing with Alzheimer's, it's important to get them out into public.
Right.
And certainly the most comfortable public zone might be going to church. And
did she go until the end?
Oh yeah, in fact, she went to the end and she would sing with gusto from the pew. One thing I really noticed with Alzheimer's people is the beauty of music, and we can talk more about that, but we would have we formed this thing called the Breakfast Club, so we would go out to breakfast after church with ad lib, whoever wanted to go with us, and we always had 6 or 8 people, but that kept my mom in the conversation.
Right. So she had something to look forward to. It's something that your father also went out with.
They really look forward to that. And, we're proud people. There's a lot of social expectations, and we have a loved one that's not able to perform in public. And what do? I think it's important to take them into public and to let them sit there and let them make a noise in the middle of a concert and let that shine that there's a loved one here that's enjoying this concert, you see.
And not hide them at home,
and not
right?
hide them.
And not be worried about
So
that they're going to do something.
We made a point for that, yeah. If ever my mom was really anxious, because she could get very, very anxious, I would just look her in the eye and I would go, mares eat oats and does eat oats and little lambs eat ivy. And all of a sudden, she's like singing.